Hello, people of the internet. My name is Henry Danish, and this is Red Cube Everything week number. As I apologize, the webcam is unfortunately not working. That is an issue. There it is. It's back. But we are in week number 6, and we have a double header for you today. The first game, obviously, being Ego versus Hyper Academy, and then the game later on today, which will be actually right after this match, is going to be Viper versus Prime. Both of these games are extremely important for all of these teams. We see the Ego versus Hyper match. Both of these teams have been struggling quite considerably at the later half of the midpoint of the season, and they just really haven't gotten a lot of traction in the league yet, and this is a game where they can finally start to prove themselves and get right back into the mix of things. And then onto the Prime Viper game, which will be after this. Those two teams are 2nd and 3rd place, and that's just going to be a battle to who can compete with balance for 1st place. Obviously, though, let's take a moment and focus on the Ego versus Hyper match. It is going to be on the map of Consulate, and I am going to be joined here with a co-caster. And Demonic, what is your kind of first take, obviously, on Consulate, and we're going to be seeing Ego and Hyper going head to head?
Well, first of all, hey there, everyone. My name is Demonic. Nice to meet you. As for the game that we're going to be watching today, you have to keep in mind that these are 2 academy teams. So what that means is usually in orgs, there's going to be a main team, which is the one that focuses more on that challenger league. They're already at the level that they need to be at to compete extremely competitively. Whereas with these teams, they're more of kind of learning the game, learning how to communicate, learning how to do all of this stuff together. So both of these teams have one important obstacle to overcome. And this is the most important thing, in my opinion, when it comes to teamwork and coordination, and that's communication. Making the right calls, making the right decisions, trusting your teammates when they say something. And I think that's really going to be something that they're going to be struggling with on both sides, because I do believe that Ego, they've had a lot of roster swamps, and I know that Hyper has been mixing some things around, trying out different strategies and things like that. So it might make it very difficult for them to actually coordinate strategies and plan their attacks and defenses in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Obviously, Ego has had a couple ups and downs. Hyper has had a couple ups and downs, and I think today could be the chance for both teams to maybe iron out all of those wrinkles and just throw it all behind them. But just for a moment, guys, looking at the standings of both of these teams, Ego sit at 10th, and then we're going to be seeing Hyper down at 14th. Both of these teams are technically right now outside of the playoff berth, and they are on the lower half of the spectrum of the leaderboard. But something that you guys do need to know, and I reiterate this all the time, is the fact these standings, they can jump quite significantly. You can see teams go from, actually a good example is Moral. They were 14th and now they find themselves at 7th. Because we're kind of in the midpoint of the season, there is still just a lot of room for growth and a lot of room for teams to just kind of go from very low on the scoreboard to really, really high up. And that's why this game is so important, because there's a lot of hope for both of these teams. Hyper especially, they find themselves at the bottom, but if they get a win here, they could easily move up to 9th, 10th, and they are just that much closer to getting into playoffs. So same applies with Ego. If they win here, they could etch their name in the playoffs as well. So it's very important game here for both teams. And it doesn't even need to be just the mental aspect of it. Just the points that they can put on the board are going to be extremely important. But another thing I kind of want to reiterate and kind of talk about is the fact we are going to be seeing them on the map of Consulate. This is a very interesting map to see because you don't normally or typically see actually a lot of teams go on the Consulate. It's one of the least picked maps. What is your take on that, Demonic?
Well, I think it's kind of a combination of not wanting to do the very meta maps like Border or Oregon, combined with not wanting to do the maps that they don't really know, like Villa, that are relatively new, where there aren't a lot of strong strategies that they can take from other teams or have much time on personally. So this is kind of the middle ground where Consulate is a very familiar choice. Almost everybody has strats and has played it plenty of times, just not as much as some of the bigger ones that are more popular. So it's kind of that middle ground where it's familiar enough where they are going to be confident and secure with what they're doing, but also it's going to be different enough to where there's not going to be these tried and true strategies that they're going to have to go against every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think Consulate is definitely one of those maps that do favor mechanical skill. That's why you see a lot of teams that are extremely confident in their mechanical skill decide to try to kind of get Consulate. And as we know, both Hyper and Ego, they have some very strong, really strong fraggers on both ends. We obviously see Damaging on that Ego side, as well as Kira on that Ego side, Hourly as well. Almost the entire Ego roster is very good mechanically. And then on the Hyper side of things, you got Pilot and Cow, and we saw them last week. They were absolutely insane. So going on to Consulate, I feel kind of opens the doors up just a little bit for both of these teams to maybe kind of put some swagger into this matchup and get a couple kills here and there that maybe we weren't expecting. But that's going to be it here for the pregame. All of the players are ready, and we will see you guys on the map of Consulate. On to the map of Consulate and into the operator ban phase. And I'd like to reiterate the fact Lion is already kind of banned out. If you guys aren't familiar with that new rule change, we have kind of taken it into effect, and Lion is already perma-banned, so you won't be seeing that ban come out, and again, you won't be seeing him used, so just letting everybody know. But coming on to Consulate, first reactions, what do you think is going to be banned out here?
Glass is always a powerful choice, maybe even a Blackbeard, so he can't sit out on that second floor window and just basically peek into it. And there it is, going to be right there. Very common choice, nothing too out there. As for the second attacker, that's kind of up in the air. They might go with a Glass. They might go with something along the lines of Twitch if they want to play more defensively. There's a lot of options with that second choice. It's not set in stone like the defensive operators, where usually it's going to be Mira and Echo or Maestro or something like that.
Yeah, and I think maybe potentially seeing that Glass come off the board, like you said, but actually a Monty. That's very interesting. Obviously, I think that might just go to show that the Ego side is just not confident in handling a Monty. Maybe they have some intel that we don't, that Hyper like to run a Monty. But I think, obviously, I'm very close with a lot of the Ego players, and they just simply do not like to deal with shield operators. So I think that is just more of a preference pick, not a target ban or anything like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, from my experience with Hyper, I definitely didn't think that they would be going with something like that. But we did see Montagne being played very well, and there's going to be the mirror ban, relatively standard. Pretty much all teams are scrimming without her, just keeping in mind that she's going to be banned anyway. But Montagne really has been doing well in this recent meta, especially if you looked at the DreamHack finals that were earlier today. G2 definitely used Montagne to the best of their abilities, and so did Penta as well. So surprisingly solid operator that's just starting to pick up speed.
Yeah,
and there's also a Maestro.
And another thing that's actually very interesting is talking about Penta or G2 or the old Penta is we saw, I think the most dominant time we actually saw Monty in play was during those invitationals a while back. And like you said, he's now starting to gain some traction back in the pro league scene. He's kind of getting some playtime, but it's not as close to as a Blackbeard or a Glaz or things like that. Yeah. So it's still a relatively interesting ban, but it's not a stupid ban. It's actually pretty tactical. Obviously, I don't think Ego like Monty as well, but Monty is again, like you said, one of those operators. He's slowly coming into the pro league scene, which is good to see.
Yeah, I think he's overshadowing Blitz at this point.
Oh yes.
But we can see some very interesting team compositions on both sides. You know, there's the Glaz, there's the IQ, there's the Jackal, so that's definitely going to counter a lot of what's on the defender side. I think that's going to be countering with just those two operators of IQ and Jackal. That's going to counter 4 of these operators just right off the bat. The Echo Yokais, the Legion Goo Mines, the Cardiac Sensor, all of that is going to be at risk because of those 2 gadgets.
The one operator that I actually find very interesting is the Twitch. Twitch has definitely found herself outside of the meta, considering Mira has been banned so often. Obviously, you can bring the IQ, because that's just a lot better to maybe get the Jaeger devices and the Echo drones and things like that. Twitch, yes, she has a very powerful drone, but she definitely has found herself outside of the meta, so it's interesting to see that pick actually being used here, where you would most likely see maybe a different kind of operator that has a little bit more utility, maybe even just a fragging operator like an Ashe. But instead, Mr. B is going to be sticking with that Twitch. And another thing that is actually very interesting to note is, like you said, there's so many counters on this attacking side. That Pulse is going to have a very, very rough day. You have an IQ and you also have a Jackal. You can just maybe see it already. Jackal is going to track that Pulse, and then IQ is just going to be on that sensor, watching exactly where he goes. So Pulse has to play his cards extremely well here.
Yeah, and then along with that, these armor panels are also going to be countered by Glaz and Zofia as well. The Lifeline and the, I cannot remember the name of the sniper rifle, but both of those things are going to be able to pop those open easily and effectively make them essentially useless. Might be able to delay it just a little bit, or if there's maybe the Jackal on the other side where he's not able to open it up and there's no one around to help him out with that, that's also a possibility. But we can see that they're going to be starting out right here. It looks like Damaging is making sure no one's going to get spawn peeked or anything like that, which would be a shame if Jackal got taken off early on, but it seems like he's going to be making his way through the first floor, and I really think it's quite interesting how he's playing alone from everybody else right now. Damaging is playing solo at the moment, and that's kind of an operator that it's a high risk, high reward thing where, you know, he's able to track these people on one hand so he can play alone, but on the other hand, it does make him vulnerable when he's trying to scan.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that's actually interesting is most of the time you see crossfires set up with that Jackal when those scans come out. So it's really weird, again, to see him playing all by himself. But we are going to see Zofia on this big window here on the south side, already taking quite a lot of damage. And that's going to bring her down to about 25 health. Losing a lot of that utility early on will be terrible for this Ego side. So Flip definitely has to play a little bit more careful here, as Kira is slowly pushing in, but Hourly able to get the first frag. And look who it is. It is going to be on that Pulse, and unfortunately Pillow did not play his cards correctly.
Now the good thing is at least he was able to get a little bit of information and was able to spot out where the attack was going to be coming from, so at least he wasn't completely useless for his team, as Damaging is going to be heading up the spiral stairs. Unfortunately for him, he's going to have to take quite a while to actually break that down, which is going to give away his position. And we can see Crater trying to take a couple shots at him, actually is able to hit him in the foot. That's got to hurt, dropping him down to just above 50 health. But meanwhile, Damaging is going to see if he can get a little bit of payback, and he's almost able to do so. I don't think he was actually able to land the shots there just yet, but he is slowly opening that door up as a minute is about to approach for this round. Opens the door up. Will he be able to do anything? No, he's just going to drop back down.
And after all that work, he decides, hey, it wasn't really worth it, and decides to drop back down. But as we were talking, Crater able to get a nice frag, but it's going to be immediately refragged, so the advantage still in favor of these attackers, and they are definitely going to pull off the execute very soon. They have all the resources, and they are in a very strong position to push onto that A site, but they do see damaging on that Jackal. Nice shot, very long angle onto Cow, and the execute coming out here as Zofia tries to put as many concussions in, but is going to be eaten up by that Jaeger, and Hourly again getting a kill on Pilot. It's going to be all up to the Legion.
Let's see what Macius does here. He is able to spot out one of the players, but it's not going to be enough. And I believe that's going to be Mr. B who is picking up the final kill for that round.
Very, very good start there for Ego. Everything was kind of going their way. Nice and methodical push, actually. Something that was an issue with Ego a lot last week, and a lot of times when we've casted them, is they tend to rush a lot of their pushes when not a lot of their people are in the right positions, or things just aren't where they should be, and they decide, all right, let's forget it, let's just execute. Something we didn't see there, which is great to see, as, again, both of these teams, they've been struggling, and really anything they can pick up definitely counts. So Ego just taking their time on that push, being very slow, being very methodical, getting everybody in their proper positions. That's huge to see, and that's going to be very nice. That's going to be kind of just a huge confidence booster for this Ego side. Now it's up to Hyper just to shut that down and make sure it doesn't snowball into something bigger.
Right, and we can see the first 6 picks of the game actually coming out. Flip is going to be picking up Hibana, so that's going to be a hard breacher for them. And instead of going with Pulse, they're going to be grabbing the Valkyrie. So IQ is going to be able to counter that. But the thing is, though, it's not going to result in an operator death like we saw previously. So that's very smart adaptation on Hyper Academy's part. Definitely a nice way to shake things up. And along with that, they actually used the 6th pick instead of what they did the first round, where they basically didn't utilize that. So we're going to have to see how that changes their strategies, because it allows them to kind of watch where they're coming from a safe distance.
Yes, absolutely. And another thing that actually I want to note here is we've seen this Hyper side. They are definitely favoring Intel on this defensive side of things. Obviously, last round you saw the Pulse, but this round, yes, they dropped the Pulse, but they replaced it with a Valkyrie. So there's a lot of intel. They have an Echo, they have a Valkyrie, as well as a Legion. Some people say he's not an intel operator. In my opinion, he is, as he can just kind of figure out exactly where they're pushing when those Legion lines are activated. So this Hyper team, they're valuing intel quite a lot, and that's something Ego struggled with last week, actually. They kept getting spotted. They kept getting kind of their plans thrown right in their face, because the other team knew exactly where they were. So this could be maybe just good VOD watch from this Hyper side, just knowing that they struggle with trying to get rid of these cams. As we saw last week, Hourly just was not using the IQ gadget properly, and I think that's also why we see Kira on the IQ instead of Hourly. So maybe that's just good VOD watching from Hyper, or maybe they just favor those operators and a little bit more of a comfort pick.
We'll have to find out as Mr. B. Oh, he actually isn't able to spot out Macius' head. He knows that somebody's there, but I don't think he's able to see it, or if he is, he doesn't notice it. Guys holding pixel perfect angles, and neither of them are going to fire a single shot. I don't think that they're going to realize until they watch back at this video how close both of those players were to death. Very close situation there for those two guys.
Literally one movement out of the way and one of them would have died. That is just so close. But it looks like just kind of droning out here. This push definitely taking a little bit longer. Not as many people in the building here for Ego, but just as I say that, we see Hourly and Flip sprinting up these yellow stairs, trying to get an angle onto that lawn deck.
And he might have a very good time here. That bathroom is open. That's a very sight line for and his teammate Ash to have at the moment. Hourly is going to be peeking forward right now as the stun grenades go down. Looking around, not able to spot any members of Hyper. Yes, he does. He spots somebody. Connector sprays the wall. Does a little bit of damage onto Pillow, but damaging is going to be the one who finds him. He's going to go down 5v4. Macius is stuck between a rock and a hard place between that window and the drone, getting him to 1 HP. Will he be able to get out of this? No. Mr. B is going to find the frag right there, and this is looking very good for Ego Academy. Getting into another gunfight. Will he be able to do anything? Crater trying to run away. Or, I'm sorry, that's going to be Cal instead. He tries to get out of there, but he's not able to successfully do so. A couple more pre-fires. 1 minute left on the clock. Will Crater be able to do something? Yes, he will. Mr. B going down with a great headshot coming out from the echo right there. 55 seconds left, and he hears something come up. Will he find a second one? No! He whiffs the shot, not able to land it, and Kira will be finding their first kill of this match, leaving it all up to Pilot.
As we see Pilot here in a very nice position to kill this Ashe. He is going to get the kill, but he is also getting a lot of the pings. This is definitely winnable. It is not plausible, but there is definitely a chance here. The plant is down, so a retake is going to have to come out. But a retake is not going to come out as Damaging puts a bullet right between the eyes of Pilot. And like last round, Ego, really good execution onto that top site.
I definitely think that was a great coordinated strategy with Ego. We were saying earlier that one of their problems might be communication and actually executing those strategies and those things that they have planned, but they're doing a very good job of that. And along with that, I think that Hyper, what they could do to improve how this is going so far is I definitely think that they should be focusing more on roamers and having those guys, because they're so scared of the IQ, I feel, that they're not really having anybody play off site, and therefore it allows Ego to essentially get control of the map, when in reality, they're the ones who should be having control. I saw this in a game I casted yesterday where people were kind of asking, I saw that, why is there so much focus on one player, the roamer, from these attacking sides? Why do they put so much utility and time to getting rid of those guys? And the reason is because I saw yesterday that it was a 1v3 clutch situation because they didn't kill off the roamer. So that just shows how much power that role has, and they're not utilizing it to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, the roam game in Siege is probably the most important, because if you have confidence in your roam game, that gives confidence to your anchors as well, because they'll just be like, oh, we can just kind of chill, we don't have to play aggressive, we can wait for the attackers to come to us, because the roamers are going to deal with that. And if you're not utilizing that, if you're not putting your roamers in really advantageous positions, what you tend to see is what we're seeing right now. Ego getting complete control of the map very quickly, and then all they have to do is properly execute. And the execute is so much easier than getting control of the map. So definitely, I 100% agree with you. Hyper need to invest a lot more into this roam game, and I think going on this main floor is going to ask for that, because you need to have an upstairs presence if you're going to hold down this main area.
I think another good idea would be to stagger their defense. So what we usually see, and I think is what they're doing, they'll go up to the above room into the meeting room, and yep, that's going to be Tao opening up those floorboards in order to watch to make sure they're not going to get in. So that's the good thing about this site, is it's very easy to defend in terms of not allowing operators to get inside without being punished. But the flaw with this site is that that diffuser gets planted, it's very difficult to disable that. So we'll have to see.
It's a super hard retake.
Yeah, exactly. I would say it's honestly probably one of the hardest retake sites in the game. But we're going to jump right into it, and it looks like I really like what Ego's doing here. They're changing up their strategy. So they are going onto that east side, but they're playing a little bit more cautiously. They're not going up into the... I can't remember the name of that room, the office area right now that we just saw Macius in taking a little bit of damage in. How is this going to work out for him?
He's in a very nice spot just to slow them down, as Cow is able to get a huge kill onto the Zofia. That's a lot of utility off the board, but Kira on that Maverick able to get a quick refrag, and that's going to be the Legion. No, my fault. That's actually going to be the Jaeger. So Legion's still alive upstairs here, definitely slowing down this attack, and that's really good. It's a start for these roamers, and that's exactly what you want to see from this Hype side, as we actually see a lot of the push is coming from this main side, and I don't think the defenders know. They have gotten so much control of this north side of the entire building, and I don't think any call-outs have been made. Everybody is focused upstairs because that's where they think the push is coming from, but the push is actually coming right underneath their nose, and this could be deadly for this Hype side.
Ego is able to find the chink in the armor right now. Macius, though, he's going to try and eat it up, shooting throughout the windows as Arley tries to get a good angle, but a great... Macius is able to find one, and Flip is going to grab another kill for himself, and a second one for Macius. That's going to be very good for the player. And a third one! What is this man doing? Somebody stop him, please! Mr. B is going to go down, and this is all up to Kier right now on that Maverick. A very good gun and very strong operator to work with, but the fact is he doesn't have a lot of time. He doesn't know where anybody is, and he's still on the second floor. No control of the diffuser whatsoever. He's going to get into a close range gunfight with Cow, though. Both of them are going to exchange shots as he pushes forward right now, trying to get the shotgun kill, and he will succeed in doing so. A great 3K from Macius, and a great nice little two-piece for Cow to clutch it out.
Very strong round there from Hyper. Ego, there was a moment in that round where I thought they were going to be able to take it fairly significantly, because no, I don't think anybody made the call out that they were pushing into that main lobby from the back side, from that north side. And there was an opportunity for Ego to just potentially get almost a sneaky plant down. But we did see that Lesion have a super, super strong roam game. Not only did he slow down the upstairs push, but he also had an extremely aggressive run out that, in my opinion, saved the round. As
And he did that with 50 HP too.
Yes, he was in a position where he probably shouldn't have won any of that, but he did. And that's what I said earlier today. Consulate opens the door for strong mechanical play. And that's exactly what we saw from Macius. Super, super strong play from him, playing extremely aggressive. And I said this in the Disrupt game. If you're on the defensive end, you always tend to find yourself on the receiving end of aggression. And sometimes when you're on the defensive end and you then match that aggression, it throws the offenders off completely. And that's exactly what Macius did there. That's why he picks up 3 kills.
Yeah, and that was the IGL as well for Hyper Academy. So to do that while coordinating strategies and plans, very impressive coming up from his part. I do like how they are not going to be going up to console though. Instead, they're going to be going down to the basement area below. Very smart way to adapt to kind of just keep Ego Academy on their toes, because we saw that they were able to find that kind of tiny little aspect that wasn't planned for, that like little path from Visa going through the main hallway into that back of bathroom near yellow. They were able to make their way through that without any resistance. So definitely smart to not to go up to the second floor where they weren't doing well, and in order to kind of shake things up a little bit, so to speak, on the defending side. But we're going to jump right into the action phase right now, and it looks like they are going to be focused on this garage side.
Yeah, absolutely. Even with the operator choices we see here, the Maverick and the Thermite definitely prompting that garage take, just trying to get as much of a presence in garage as possible and as soon as possible. Something I have seen here with Hype though Hyper is that they are kind of swapping off roles quite a bit. We saw Macius on the Lesion role last round, did really well, but Crater is now on that Lesion role. So swapping off roles quite a bit. I don't know if that maybe is just something that I like to do to throw off the other team. Maybe it's just different play styles for different sites, but already Kira, with that Maverick little blowtorch and how silent it is able to get a huge kill on the Bandit, tricking Bandits, and Cal is going to go down right away.
You really got to watch out for those. We can see how much they got out of it. Pillow is going to be forced to take a couple of hits from his stim pistol right now, and both garage doors are open, and a great headshot coming out from Flip. That's going to be the Donk taken off the board. A very strong operator already pulled away, but Pilot and Macius have both great angles, but it doesn't matter. Damaging is going to skirt around the corner, and he's able to find the head of Macius. No 3K for him this time, and it looks like Crater will be taking a lot of damage as well. Another kill for Damaging. Great job here. Will he be able to find Pilot? He knows where he is. He really wants his 3K. Will he be able to succeed in doing so? Takes a little bit of damage, runs around the corner with the shotgun, and he finds it. A 3K for Damaging, and a nice little round win for Ego Academy.
What we saw there, I think, was exactly what I said last round that Hyper did so well. They matched the aggression of Ego, and then Ego said, okay, no, that's not happening. We're not taking that. And they decide to play extremely, extremely aggressive. And it almost seemed as if the Hyper defense wasn't even set up yet. We saw that Bandit get picked off so early. I think it was 30 seconds into the round, and he just gets smoked by the Maverick. And then we saw Damaging push up onto those stairs. Vigil tries to go for the angle, gets just smoked by the Jackal. And it's just super, super aggressive play from Ego, and they were in the face of that Hyper team almost the entire round. And Hyper, I think just got a little bit discombobulated. They were like, wait, what's going on? There's too much going on. And I think that's what Ego capitalized on, and that's why they got the win there.
I definitely think along with that, it was also a problem when that Bandit died, getting taken off so early, which allowed the garage door to be open completely. They really weren't prepared for that, and they kind of made a couple of mistakes there. Pillow did try to peek out, which I think was a bit of a risky move that he shouldn't have done, because the entire thing was open. They were on yellow. There was really no good way for him to do anything behind white band other than stay there and wait for them to come to him. So losing that Donk early on, overall, I think that it was a couple of mishaps in the beginning, but we'll see if they're able to correct them here. We don't really see too much of a difference in operator choices except for the mute instead, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah, I think Doc peeking that I think there was really no need to be the hero there. I think he was trying to get like a really cool kill or something like that, just trying to get his team back into it. But with how much time was left in the round at that moment, Pillow should have just stayed a little bit more calm. I think that's probably something his IGL Macias is telling him. We're probably going to see a lot less kind of aggression from Pillow, but we also need to see a little bit more aggression from the rest of the team, because they can't let Ego just get right into sight right away.
I think this is going to be something that's like a snowball effect, where we can see that Ego right now, you know, we were talking about aggression. Well, they have 4 operators that are extremely aggressive and very good at just running in and getting fragged. So this could fall apart for them really quickly as Kira opens up one of the hatches. They're going to be making their way from the VC area. Crater, now he does hear them, and he's playing a very strong operator in order to work with this. And along with that, he has a couple of teammates to help him out. As we can see, Macias, who has been doing a great job so far, is in that back area. So they know where the attack is coming from. And I think it's very smart to focus all of their resources and ideas on this side. And it's really going to pay off for them because of that. I mean, we're already almost a minute in, and overall, they haven't made much progress, but damaging. That's going to be a very dangerous angle for Hyper. If they don't realize, if anybody peeks through that rotation hole, it's going to be pretty deadly for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You see Mr. B is going to be droning out there for damaging potentially, but they're definitely going for this A side push. Every operator is on this east side of the entire building, and it's good to see that Hyper recognize that. They're kind of shifting their focus all the way towards them, and it's definitely going to slow down the attack for Ego. It already has quite significantly, as Pilot there, able to get a huge kill on it, damaging. There goes your utility right off the board there. That is a huge, huge frag. As playing extremely aggressive here, could have gotten the kill onto the Maverick, but it's just going to be a game of peaks as Crater and Macias able to just continue the dominance now. It's going to be all up to Kira and Hourly.
Diffuser is down right now, minute left. Kira trying to find a kill for himself. He is going to get spot out through that hole. Now will find one for himself, and Hourly is not in a situation that I envy. Definitely not a position he wants to be in. Minute left, no control of Diffuser. Now he is able to find a kill under Crater. That's going to be him going down, but one drop. This is very aggressive, but it's going to pay off. Macias finding a second frag for himself on round number 5. And Hyper Academy going into the second half with just 1 round down.
And I'll actually just correct you there, because we are doing, it is 6 rounds now because of
I am mistaken. Yes. Okay, so this is still a possibility for
technically a tie, But we also, something that I just kind of noticed once again, is this is a battle of aggression. It is whoever can be more aggressive on the push or on defense, or whoever can get into the face of the other team first, most likely wins that round. As we saw there, I think it was Pilot who got the first frag under that Zofia, who Zofia was trying to push super aggressively into that A site. Yep. Pilot holds a very nice angle and then kind of whips around the corner, gets the kill on the Zofia, and then also gets the kill, I think it was, I'd like to say, onto Mr. B, the Twitch. So it was just super, super aggressive, and then it was immediately followed up by Crater and Macias, both getting a kill, leaving it all to the Glass. So super, super good way to just rotate all their focus back towards that east side of the building, and then it opened the doors, again, like I've said this a lot, for really strong mechanical play. They were able to peek angles that the attacking team didn't expect them to peek. They were able to get frags on the operators the attacking team needed quite significantly. And it was just a really strong round there from Hyper. Everything went their way, they rotated very well, and they just played all of their cards properly.
Yeah, I definitely think the biggest mistake was that Ego kind of went a little bit too aggressive. There were a couple of spots where they weren't really droning too well. I mean, Macias was hiding in that electric closet pretty much the entire time, and nobody was able to spot him, even though that's where all their drones were. And we saw, you know, Twitch's drone kind of being used for a little bit of damage onto, I think, who was playing that Legion last round?
I think it was the...
It
wasn't me. It was Crater. It was Crater.
Yeah, they kind of focused on him a little bit too much, but I think was a bit of a mistake and allowed Macias to get a couple of frags. But overall, I think that's kind of a wake-up call for them, and I think that they're going to be a little bit less aggressive, a little bit more focused on getting information before they try to rush in and get frags. So we'll have to see if they're able to adapt to that situation. situation, because we can see that's definitely what Hyper is doing. But as I say that, Flip able to find an early frag onto Cow, and that's the smoke as well. Ooh. That's a lot of utility paying it off, not even 30 seconds into the rounds.
And another thing to note is the fact that we already have, the attacking team has complete control now of admin already. So getting that smoke off the board, not only is it a huge utility loss, but it's also a lot of map control loss because there's no entry denial anymore. As we do see Damaging getting into another gunfight, he is going to see the Legion. How did Macius almost lose that? But nonetheless, those angles, they work both ways, as Damaging is going to be taken out here. But we do see the Hibana pushing the lawn desk, could potentially catch this Legion out.
Macius is in a really dangerous position, and we can see exactly what happened there. Flip finding his second kill of the round. Nice little 2K for him. Will he be able to find a third? He knows somebody's there, but that bar boy's position right now. If they peek at the same time, Hyper can actually get back into this. That drone is getting a lot of information off, and he's going to be forced to drop. No, he's actually going to stand there a little longer. He really wants to find something, but he's not going to be able to do so, and he does get away with his life. Very scary situation, but it did work out for them. And Hyper, what is this? Both players, Crater and Pillow, making their way up to yellow. Are they going to try and be aggressive and engage this fight? Yes! Pillow finding a kill onto Kira. Great frag coming out from him, and definitely a very smart decision to drop down right there.
Yeah, very, very aggressive rotate, and the entire attacking team, I don't think, expected that. They knew he dropped, but they weren't expecting him to come from yellow. Could potentially get the frag onto the Hibana, both of which are using their sight on, and he is going to get the down. That is a huge kill, as that's Hibana, your hard breacher, and Diffuser is down. Pillow playing absolutely insane this round on that Jaeger. Again, super aggressive play is proving to be the answer for both of these teams. And Pillow playing super aggressive. Well, the story's been exactly the same. Can he get another? He does! As Pillow, that's 4 for him this round, and it's going to be all up to Mr. B on that glass roll.
Question is, will he actually be able to get the ace here? Mr. B is on the attic. Smoke grenade is going to get thrown in, so don't peek it. You don't want to do it. He's going to be aggressive, though, but Pillow is waiting for him. But do they have a drone on him? It looks like they know where he is, so he's actually going to fall. Takes a couple of shots onto Pilot, doing a little damage. Pillow with the ace is going to take out Mr. B, and they're going to be finishing. Now they're going to be finishing this halftime, even 3-3.
That was a misplay from Mr. B. I really don't think he recalled that there was a trapdoor there that was completely open, and instead of trying to get the frag onto Pillow, he accidentally trips over his shoelaces and falls a floor down into the line of sight of absolutely everybody on that defensive end. So very unfortunate there from Mr. B, just kind of lack of awareness, I think, at the end there. But we are going to be seeing, again, going into the half now, it is 12 rounds, so six rounds on attack, 6 rounds on defense, so we are going to see both of these teams tied going into the half. This is the first time we have seen that this entire week. Obviously, this is the first week we have used the new settings, but this is the very first game that actually going into the half, both of the teams are 3-3. So it's very, very interesting to see, kind of seeing this rotate where both of the teams have both gotten 3 rounds. It is literally anybody's game, and it's almost the exact same game because the numbers are just so even.
Now we can see a couple of operator changes. Now there is a Jackal and IQ, so Hyper is going to be doing the same thing that Ego Academy did in terms of getting out of these roamers, but they also have a Ying, and I know Cow is very confident on Ying. That is one of his favorite attacking operators, so he is very comfortable on her, and it's definitely a good way to actually push onto sites, and there really isn't too much to counter in these situations. I mean, sure, you have the Jaeger ADSs, but those are relatively easy to get rid of on this site. So I think it's going to be a very strong position for Hyper to actually be aggressive, but be aggressive in a relatively safe way.
Yes, and Consulate is also one of those maps that is extremely long. So there's a lot of long hallways where there is not going to be an ADS. So if somebody's holding a long angle on a long hallway, for example, this long desk area, you're not going to see an ADS here, and you're then going to see Yin chuck a Candela probably in the middle of the hallway and could easily just push into this desk area. So there's just a lot of opportunity for a Yin to be extremely, extremely deadly on this map. We just have to see Cow play it correctly.
And those Candela grenades, they really have a lot of range to them. So even in those long hallways, I mean, there could be one on the exact opposite side, and it's still going to make you full white, and there's just really nothing you can do about it but pray that you don't get rushed in and shot.
Yeah, and we are going to be seeing Hyper, I think, a little bit confused, maybe spawn at the wrong spot. They're taking quite a while to kind of get onto their specific windows or into their specific spots. Maybe just a little bit of mistake there. As Damaging, though, on that Rook, playing extremely aggressive with that ACOG, is able to get the first kill onto Macius. That's going to be the Jackal off the board, and that's a lot of utility off very, very early on.
And he's going to be rotating into the back room. Might get into a little bit of a gunfight with Pilot. No. Beck gets completely blinded by that, although nothing will be capitalized. He knows there's probably somebody on that window. In fact, there are two people as Crater fires a couple of shots, not able to take him down just yet. Meanwhile, Pilot is just going to be constantly pinging him right now, giving them a lot of information as they try to set up a crossfire. But keep in mind, look how much time is being wasted because of this Rook. Minute and 40 seconds left, and peeking out a great shot from Kira. Gonna be able to find Pilot right now. Minute 35 seconds left, and this is a very strong position for Eagle Academy to win this round.
It's very weird to see the Hibana peeking this so aggressively as the Ashe was somewhat droning her out. As you normally see the Hibana kind of the one droning it, but it doesn't matter nonetheless as Ashe is actually going to be the one to die. But we do see Kira on the same exact angle again, looking for another kill as he knows Hibana is sitting out there like a clay pigeon on that rappel, just waiting to get shot. He just has to know when to push. Damaging again, getting another kill on the Pillow, and it's going to be all up to Cal. We talked about how good his Yin play was, but is it good enough to clutch a 4v1 situation, as this is just not a very ideal spot for the Yin to be in.
And Cal is going to be pushing forward, is able to find one of those guys. Kira is going to go down, and he's making his way into a very good flanking spot. Now he's gonna be rotating backwards. He knows that there are a couple of people there. Doesn't actually spawn him out just yet. Doesn't see him through that rotational. 38 seconds left. He doesn't have control of the diffuser. He doesn't have a whole lot of health. This is not a great situation to be in right now. He's peeking down the hatch, and it seems like he doesn't really know what to do. Might be listening to a couple of conflicting calls right now, and just as he is dropping down, both of them are going to peek out, and Hourly will finish him off to take round number 7.
There was really not a lot that Yin could do in that situation. Obviously, dropping Hatch, I don't quite know if that was the move. He did have control of the diffuser, maybe just having a hard rotate. But then another thing comes into the account, and that's going to be the time. He didn't have a lot of time left. It was a 3v1 situation. He had one Candela left. It was just not looking good. There was not a lot he could do. Ego played very, very well. They, with that Rook roaming as well as the castle just playing extremely aggressive onto that window, that slowed down the push so much. And time is so valuable in Rainbow Six Siege. It's almost like another player for that defensive team. If you have time on your side, you're most likely going to win that round. And the way the attackers can get time on their side and not always have it in favor of the defense is by getting that plant down. And without an effective push we didn't see that from Hyper, there was no way they were going to be able to get that plant down. So there was just not a lot they could do with that extremely strong roam there from Ego.
I think another problem is that when these guys are, running through these strategies and trying to figure out stuff, it's a lot easier to plan for the defense than it is for the attack. Because the defense, you can actually go into the game, you can set it up the way you want it, and you're like, okay, this is good. And along with that, usually that's going to be a little bit more of the kind of easier side on maps like this, where they're very strong sites and they're very hard to actually get onto. So that helps out with Hyper being first on the defense in this aspect. But when it comes to the attack, there's definitely a lot more of a focus of the IGL actually coordinating and executing. And I think what happened there is that they wanted to clear out Visa. They didn't have a really, set in stone strategy of how they were going to get them out. They're not going to okay, Ying's going to flash inside. He's going to be watching the flank and do this. It was more of, hey, let's just attack Visa. And they try to do their own thing.
Yeah, that was definitely, I think, what we saw. And what you tend to see with especially both of these teams, almost all of the teams at this level, is a lot of the kind of attacking strats are a lot more like ranked-esque strats, where you will definitely have a little bit more communication, but defenses where they put a lot more focus, like, okay, you put a rotate there, or you put a reinforcement there, or you do that there. Whereas an attack, like you said, is, okay, let's just attack here and hope it goes well. And it didn't go well for Hyper, and they didn't really have a plan B, and they didn't have a set-in-stone exact idea of how they want to clear out roamers or how they want to clear out people on site. It was more of just a very wide focus of what they want to do, and that's where Ego capitalized on. They recognized that and were just going to be right in their face the entire time.
I think another issue is the lack of operators. Ooh, uh-oh. So that is going to be, they're going to continue to play this round up because it is in the action phase. So this is essentially a 4v5 right now, and that's going to pay off for them. Kratos going to be opening up that garage door without any issues. Now, Kira is playing the mute right now, so he might be able to actually keep that second side open so they can't actually get the full line of sight, but not the best way to start. Although they have wasted a lot of time, there is less than 2 minutes left and they haven't even really gotten any frags or pushed onto that. So we're going to have to see what they do here. Kira playing White Pipes, very good position in order to make sure that they can't actually get into that area.
We are going to see the second part of that garage is going to be opened up as Crater is able to get a kill onto Damaging, and with that disconnect as well, that is making it a 5 versus 3 now with the entire garage open. This is a very, very tough spot for Ego to be in. Literally every angle they can imagine is right onto them. There's very little opportunity for a rotate, and right now every card is in favor of Hyper, but Kira, what a shot there. We are going to be seeing that push in behind that white van. Could potentially get that plant down as Crater is able to get the frag onto Kira, and just like that, the plant is coming down, but Mr. B does still have his Echo Drone, but it's going to get destroyed. What a shot there to stop that Echo Drone, but actually the plant doesn't come down. It's going to be all up to the Echo without his drone, and well, unfortunately, Yokai couldn't do the work there, as Pilot puts a bullet into the Echo's thigh and kills him.
Really good round coming out from Hyper, and Ego just kind of did the same that Hyper did as in terms of mistakes. Both of the walls got open. They kept on trying to peek. They kept on trying to do these things, and it did get them 1 kill, but the problem is it costed them 3. So that was one of the issues right there, and losing a player when that happens, even though it is a 4v5, you can get into the mentality of, hey, well, this is kind of throwaway round.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what happened with Ego in that specific case, but it definitely doesn't help the morale of, okay, we can do this, we can defend it, no worries. But still, great coordination from Hyper. It definitely seemed like they were a lot more confident. And I know they're a very momentum-based team. When they get 1 pick, they're like, awesome, we got that pick.
Let's go.
Awesome,
yeah.
We got a second one. Keep on going, keep on keeping the constant pressure. And I think that's really where they shine, because if they get a good start, by God, they are going to run away with it.
Yeah, and another thing that's unfortunate with that disconnect was Flip was playing the smoke. So there was very little entry denial, and with both of those garages open, you need some type of entry denial, and because he was disconnected, there was none. And I think Ego, yes, it was unfortunate, but Hyper played it very well as well. So we can't just discredit Hyper because they knew that the smoke was off the board, but they weren't just saying like, oh, let's just push in, we got it now. It was more of, okay, we have an advantage, instead of throwing it away, let's capitalize on it and secure this run. That's exactly what they did. They took their time and they figured out everything they needed to figure out, and then they got the push in. They had all the angles, they had all the rotates covered, they got the plant down, and they did exactly what they needed to do to win it.
Yeah, and I definitely like what Ego Academy is doing here right now. They're switching up their a Jaeger, they have a Bandit, so he can be a little bit more active in terms of this defense right now. One of the things that I noticed that they don't have, though, is a Doc, so they instead opted to go for a Rook. So that's going to give them a little bit more damage reduction, and they will be able to take a couple more shots. I honestly do not think that Rook is a very good choice in this matter. I think a Doc definitely would have been more impactful, because the fact is, it's always better to get more health than to take, less damage, in my opinion. But it's a little too late for them to switch it out. It still is an ACOG with an MP5, a very powerful weapon and a 3 armor. Peeking, watching that yellow doorway, seeing if anyone wants to come in. He was able to spot out one of the player's arms, but that is a blitz. So Macias, definitely a very interesting choice, but oh, that's a little bit of a mistake right there. Already dropping at 50 HP, looking at just the rotting angle as Kira continues to bandit trick Raiders thing. But oh, that's going to be damaging, picking up a frag. Macias is going to go down. Definitely didn't seem too confident with that shield operator there, and it really bit them in the behind.
Yeah, and that's kind of unfortunate, as most of the time that blitz is there to put an aggressive push onto those attackers, as he is one of those operators who just runs at you like a train and is so hard to stop. But the way Macias played it was very kind of calm and just laid back.
He played it like Monte.
Yes, and you can't do that with a blitz. It just does not work the same way. And we are going to see, though, Pillow here, having complete control of this piano room, is going to open up that garage door. It's a lot later in the round than last time, but it still is going to be open nonetheless. But there is still a 5v4, as the numbers advantage is in favor of the defense, but with those angles opening up again, we cannot reiterate how important this garage is for the attackers. So a little bit of an advantage now, I think, for the attackers.
And once again, doing something I don't like. I don't like how Mr. B is playing extremely aggressive. They have a minute left, so they do know that they're going to be forced to come in eventually soon, but we can see something that I do like, and that's going to be Hourly going for the flank now. They assumed that there was the IQ up there, and it looks like she has rotated to a completely different spot. Doesn't spot it through the rotational, the tiny little hole that Flip has made, and he's going to peek out and say, hello, IQ, and so is Mr. B, and Damaging. They're going to find some frags for themselves, but Hyper is going to grab one before the round ends and goes into Ego's Academy favor, and that just turned on its head so quickly. Hyper had both the garage doors open, had control of the map, and it just fell apart at the end there.
Yeah, just the execute, I think, from Hyper was extremely flawed. They, again, had all the resources they needed to make an effective push. They just didn't execute it properly. They pushed in, and they just were not winning their gunfights. And that is a huge, huge problem, because at that point in a round, when you, again, like we said, so important to get that garage door open, and they did. That's the hardest part of this push, getting that garage door open. They did the hardest part. Then they just have to try to get the plant down, try to win their gunfights, and that round's easily going for the attackers. They weren't able to capitalize on the fact that they had a huge advantage. And yes, the numbers, you can say, were in favor of the defense, but that garage door was open. It's so important, and unfortunately Hyper not able to capitalize, and Ego so much closer to match point now, because if they get onto that 6 number, they are going to be on to match point and just 1 round away from winning the series. As a reminder, it is a best of 1.
Definitely a little bit more risk in terms of, the fact that this is not a best of 3, which means they're not going to be able to be like, okay, that was just map 1, let's go to map 2 and win it there. So a little bit more riding on that. However, we can see a complete overhaul in terms of what these guys were doing. So previously they had relatively similar operators, but that's going to get thrown off of the board right now. We see a Doc and Mute and Castle upstairs, and for Ego Academy, we see a Capitao, a Sledge. So we're going to see what they do with these new operators, because I guarantee that both sides are not going to be expecting these radical switches. So we'll have to see how they adapt. Now, Hyper has been doing a great job of doing that, of changing up their strategy into a way that they needed to be successful. But Ego overall, I think, has been mechanically more solid in terms of gameplay, getting those picks and getting those frags, because most of the kills from Hyper are more about map knowledge and map location, coming from behind. We'll have to see how that pays off for them in this round.
And I think that's why I find it really interesting to see that Hyper let Consulate through against a team like Ego. Ego is one of the best teams mechanically in the league, and the fact that you let Consulate through, which is an extremely mechanically favored map, it's really, really interesting to see that. But something to note is we are going to see that Pulse in play, and this is the one round the attackers didn't bring an IQ. So this is when Pulse can be extremely deadly. There is not a lot of operators that can roam clear on that attacking side, and if Pulse just plays his cards correctly, he could easily shift this round completely in favor of the defense.
Keep in mind, they don't have an IQ in order to get rid of that Pulse. So he's going to be pretty much roaming around freely, and we can see Damaging already grabbing himself another one in almost the same exact position as we saw previously, just on the opposite side of the second floor. That's going to be Cow going down, and those Candelas are not going to be thrown out today. However, a lot of droning going out from Hyper, but Mr. B playing in basement, that's a lot of information that he just grabbed there with 3 operators showing off their heartbeats, giving him a lot of stuff to tell his team, going, hey, there's 3 people yellow. Nitrous will pop up, will be able to find him. No, just barely escaping. He's like, Pilot will instead get the frag, saying, sorry, you tried to yeet that my way, well, I'm going to yeet these bullets into you. And that's going to pay off for him, but Damaging is going to find a second one for himself. Macius is going to go down, and Pilot really is hanging on by a thread even after that gunfight.
We are going to see another shot there from Damaging with that ACOG. He is proving to be extremely, extremely deadly. And another C4 toss there, kind of premature. Don't quite understand why he tossed it. Wasted utility, and somehow Damaging almost won that, but Hourly getting a frag there quite immediately. And still going to keep the advantage in favor of the defense as Hourly decides to run right back out and take Pillow off of the board. And unfortunately, those bullets aren't as soft as a Pillow, and Pillow is going to go down, putting Ego on to match point.
Definitely a really nice 3K there from damaging almost a 4K. In fact, I thought he got it, but it looks like that wasn't the case. So a little bit of a shame that his run out shenanigans didn't work. But we are on match point right now, and this is going to be a brand new site to attack. So not the best situation to be in for Hyper. However, it looks like they are choosing some very interesting operators. I think they're making the decisions that they need to make in order to correct what they are doing. They have quite a bit to counter these guys. There is no pulse on the defensive side, so that IQ isn't going to be as strong as it would have been on that last round. But there is a Jaeger, there is a Yokai. There's definitely a lot for them to work with that could make getting the plant down very difficult, which is already hard enough on lobby press room.
And something I want to note that is unfortunate. We actually can call the rehost now, as we have to wait for Ego to call it, but are they going to rehost? They have to call it. Obviously, that is the rule. You have to wait for them to call it, but they are going to stick it. That just shows how confident they are, I guess. But something to note before we got rudely interrupted by connection issues. We are going to see 3 ACOGs for defense. We're going to see Echo on the defensive side, Doc on the defensive side, and Rook as well. So expect to either see some spawn peaks or just very, very aggressive peaks. So this again is playing into the constant style of play, and I think Ego are getting really, really confident. I mean, it's shown how Flip just gets...
I don't want to call it, I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like they're going to try and do some stupid spawn peaks, and I feel like Hyper is going to punish that.
Yeah.
And I think that might actually cost them this round, which isn't the best situation. Like, look at this, 3 different spawn peaks. If this works out for them, I am going to be absolutely shocked if they're able to get even 1 kill from this.
There's actually a couple shots there from Mr. B do land onto the sledge, but it is so little that it's not really worth it. But Kira, though, still in a position where he can get a kill, and it looks like Cow is going to come around that corner. He does see the sledge, but misses the shots, and wow, is it getting aggressive here. It looks like we're watching a Latin American game, as it's going to be all aim right now.
Yeah, fortunately, though, the only person who's going to take damage Cow, so not a whole lot lost from that in terms of Hyper. And really, I think it was kind of a mistake that they weren't able to really do anything on these 3 spawn peakers. Keep in mind, that's 3 out of 4 players. 75% of them were trying to do that as Flip returned to the game. Unfortunately, though, he is still dead, and Pillow has a ping to work with. Will he be able to get a shot? He spots him up, but no, he's gonna lose that gunfight. And Arrowly hanging on by just the tip of his life, takes a couple more shots, almost gets wall banged right there. And this is a very bad situation for him to be in. Macias trying to clean up that kill, but just isn't able to do it yet. Arrowly, he's in a position where this could go very badly for him really quickly. And it looks like that's exactly what's going on. Macias, he's trying to get the angle. Will he be able to get it? Yes! The wall bang coming out, and very, very, very good situation for Hyper. Getting that roamer off the board, minute 25 seconds left. Will they be able to win this? Oh, some shots coming from damaging. Not able to finish the kill, however. Yes, he is. There we go. Oh, that's actually a impact grenade from Ego.
As we are going to see just the 3 ACOGs left here for this Ego side, and it's going to be a 3-on-3. And when you're looking at the operator choice right now, you definitely are giving the attackers the advantage in this situation. But the problem is, the attackers don't have a lot of... Damaging is somehow getting a reinforcement down right now. But the attackers don't have a lot of map control right now. Yes, they have up top, as Mr. B is just kind of getting some extra armor. But they've got up top, but there's been 0 presence on the same floor as the site, and there's only 40 seconds left. And if you put these ACOG operators into positions where they can just watch angles and wait, you're going to lose that round. So we have to see something come out here very, very quickly from this attacking side.
And you know, this was a 5v4. This was definitely something for them to win right now, and it looks like they're gonna have to be aggressive in a good position to actually get the plant down. They're gonna be forced to go for these frags at the moment. 15 seconds left, and that's gonna be another kill for Ego as Kira finds Crater, and it's looking like this is all over right now. 2 players left alive, 10 seconds left, no control of the diffuser. They have to go for these frags, and the Yokai is going to Drunken Pile as Macias finds one. Damaging is gonna go down right now, and he finds a second one. Mr. B's gonna fall, but Kira, all he has to do is stay alive for the time, and that is going to be it. Ego barely scraping by on that round, but hey, close only counts, and horseshoes and hand grenades, not siege. They are going to win it and that is going to be Ego Academy with the victory, picking up their second one for the Red Cube season.
And very, very good rounds all around. I think that just compliments how good Hyper is, and I feel like not a lot of people are giving them the credit they deserve. So super strong showing there from Hyper. But Ego able to clean it out in the end, and they did so with a lot of confidence. We saw even in that last round, Flipped getting disconnected and them saying, hey, let's just finish it here and let's just get this done. Obviously.
And it worked.
It worked. Yeah, lots of confidence. They played their angles. They were mechanically extremely strong. I think probably one of the strongest teams, I think, mechanically right now in the league. It's just they've been having those issues with the communication, and that didn't show up as much today. So they're definitely growing, and that's great to see. But we can't shut down Hyper, as Hyper have been struggling this week as well and the weeks before. But they put up a tremendous fight. They were there the entire time. Rounds were super close. There was only, I think, one round where it was a 1vx situation and X was greater than 2. So the rounds were very close. But in the end, like you said, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and Ego were able to close it out in the end. But do you have any kind of closing remarks before we slowly start to transition into the Viper match?
I just want to say that was actually a really fun match to watch. Both of those teams were relatively even, but they were even in different aspects. Whereas Ego is more focused on mechanical skills and raw gameplay, Hyper was a little bit better, in my opinion, on the communication and actually executing their strategies. So I think that kind of comes with, practicing those stuff and having a dedicated having maps that they know what to run through. And along with that, everybody was getting frags. I think the lowest frag amount for any of the operators on any of the teams was 5. 5 kills was the lowest, which is still pretty good at this level.
All right, guys, that's going to be it from us. Unfortunately, we are not going to be doing the post-game interview with Ego, and we are going to have a little bit of a 10-minute break, probably a lot shorter, as we get everything set up for the Viper versus Prime match. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. A number 2 and a number 3 going head-to-head to see who can potentially take that number 1 spot. We'll be right back. 10 minutes. Hello, people of the internet. My name is Henry Danish, and we are back onto the second game of the evening. All the players are joining in for the Prime versus Viper matchup. Obviously, if you were here earlier, you just saw the Ego versus Hyper match, and unfortunately, Hyper on the losing end of that. And we saw Ego kind of finally getting a win after a very, very long time. Absolutely amazing game, and I hope the competition continues into this game. And based on the standings, and based on just where these teams are, I am expecting it to continue quite a bit in this game. We are seeing a number 2 team in Prime go up against Viper. I am once again joined here by Demonic. Demonic, what's your first take on this matchup? As I think, unfortunately, I might have been deafened and he might not hear. Oh, there he is. Demonic,
yep.
Can you hear me? There we go.
Yes, I can.
Okay, my fault there, as I think I was deafened, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But basically, as I was saying, Prime versus Viper, number 2 against the number 3. What is your first take on this matchup?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be an interesting one, having both of these guys at such a high rank in the Red Cube League, and along with that, these teams have been around for a good amount of time together. They've had kind of a core roster, and I think that really helps, because the fact is, it's like whenever you read or you look at a video on Rainbow Six Siege trying to get better, it's going to give you these tips, it's going to tell you all of these things to do, but the most important thing is going to be experience. So having a lot of experience with your teammates and other players instead of switching them out like a lot of these amateur teams do is very important, because then it allows you to build up synergy and communication, and then you can just know, okay, he's holding this angle, he's probably going to be fine, I don't have to worry about that. And I think that kind of is a relief off of these players' shoulders, that it just helps out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just having that confidence in your team as well is huge for teams, because like you said, if someone's watching your back, if someone's going to be here, you trust them to make the right call, and that is huge for teams. And sometimes a lot of lower level teams, they don't have it, but the difference is in this game, both teams have it. Most of the time you might see one team have it in a matchup and the other team just doesn't, but both of these guys have it. And I think it shows, obviously, because they're both in a position where they're extremely successful in the league. But something I want to kind of note is the fact we're going to be going on to Border. And we saw last match was on Consulate, which is extremely off meta. But now we're going to be going on to Border, which is as on meta as you can get. And it's very interesting to see just how different both of these teams are with both of the teams we saw play earlier. Obviously, on Border, I think it opens the doors for a lot more team play. And with the synergy both of these teams have, it's going to be extremely, extremely close.
Right, and along with that, I actually was able to cast Viper a couple of days ago when they were doing the ESA Contender Finals. And they didn't win, unfortunately. They lost to Team Thick. But they were able to put up a really strong fight, and it was a relatively close game. I think, if I remember correctly, it was a 3-2 match. Or I'm sorry, I didn't cast, I observed it. A little bit of a difference there. But the point is, from what I saw, they were definitely a very good team, and a lot of these guys are extremely experienced and very active in these kind of amateur semi-pro communities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do apologize. We are having a little bit of an issue with the invites right now with the game, so it might take a little bit longer for all of the players to come in, but they will come in nonetheless. There was an actual test server update today, I think, and it's kind of thrown a lot of things off with custom games, so I do apologize. We've actually also heard our audio cutting out, some latency issues with that, but it should be all kind of breezing over fairly soon. But all the players are hopping in. And another thing that is going to be interesting to note is Prime, I think, are definitely one of those teams that have to prove something here. They have gotten a lot of forfeit wins, and I think everybody in the league kind of looks at them and says they've had the easy route to the top, whereas Viper, they've played every game, they haven't gotten forfeit wins, and they've been there the entire time, and they've proven themselves time and time again. Whereas Prime, on the other hand, yes, they've played a couple games, but a lot of the games have been forfeits. So they need to prove something here. I think Prime have to prove a lot more than Viper does, even though Prime is higher on the standings, which is something you don't typically see, as most of the time the team that is at the very top doesn't have to prove anything, but Prime is definitely one of those on kind of the outside of the circle, as with the fact that we have seen so many forfeits with Prime. So many teams, I think, look at them and be like, oh, we got this. I mean, they've gotten an easy route to the playoffs, not the playoffs, my fault, to the top of the leaderboard. But the thing is, Prime played against Relentless, and Relentless is 4th, and Prime won. So they proved themselves there, but I think they can prove themselves even more here. But all the players are in the match, and we are going to be getting it underway right away here, and I will see you all on the map of Border. All right, ladies and gentlemen, into the operator bans. Lion already being off the board, and now on to probably the most typical map ever, onto Border. What are your what are the bans you're expecting here?
I'm gonna guess the Blackbeard is gonna get taken off the board relatively early. I'm going to assume it's gonna be by maybe Vipers. They're defending first, so I guess we'll find out.
We are going to just wait and see here. Actually, this is taking quite a while to figure out their ban. That's something you don't typically see, as most of the time teams at this level have an exact idea of what they want to ban. But it's actually going to be going down to the very last second, as I think maybe Seven just wants to keep saying GOAT as long as possible. But Glaz off the board, that's also an extremely typical ban.
Yep. Basically, if it's not Blackbeard, it's going to be Glaz. So I'm not too surprised to see that. Meanwhile, let's see what they're going to do on the attack side. And meanwhile, they actually chose it extremely quickly, and it's going to be the Blackbeard. So I was correct, just not in the order that it should have been.
Yeah, and it's this, again, Border is such a static map. It's very, very just kind of over and over again with the same thing. But that does open up the doors to like teams that are extremely coordinated to pull off some very nice plays and get some nice strats. But Mira off the... And I've never seen that before.
Definitely some amazing new strategies that are going to be pulled out from Prime. Really excited to see that. Will Viper be doing the same thing? Are they going to go with something that we have just never seen before? Is that going to happen?
Absolutely not, because we are on Border. But we are probably going to see Maestro Echo, I'm expecting. Yep, there it is.
There you go.
Okay, so... literally the most typical ban phase and the most typical map ban phase you're going to expect to see ever in competitive play. But it's not stupid play. It's not boring play. It's just smart play. It's just kind of what can they do to make this as even as possible. And that's exactly what they're doing here. And that's just kind of the objective before you actually get into the game. What can both teams do on both ends to give themselves a little bit of advantage? So it's not stupid bans. We're not being mad at the bans. It's just something that's not surprising.
you can't really do anything about it. It's like when teams on CSGO play Dust 2. That's essentially what Border is for Rainbow Six Siege. It's been played so much. It is such a common and such a beloved map that there's only so much you can innovate about it. Unless there's a rework or an operator release that completely changes the game and how the map is played, it's going to be the same things every time. You know, they're going to go different stuff though. However, we do see they're going to be choosing bathroom tellers, which is extremely surprising considering the fact that the two most common sites on this map are Archives Armory, and then it's also going to be I can't remember, server room and workshop, right?
Yes, server workshop. Yeah.
So it's going to be usually either of those two, but instead we can see that Viper is going to be switching things up a little bit. They're not going to be playing directly into the meta and completely countering every single point we made. So that's Captain's Curse for you. But they're going to go bathroom teller. So we're going to see what they're going to do here, because I guarantee that Prime is going to be a little shook up about this. They're not going to be expecting it.
Yeah, we've seen a couple teams actually choose to go here first, which is very surprising. I think it was Illuminate when they were still in the league. They chose to go here first almost every single time. But it is definitely one of those sites that you're what you're getting the most out of it is the fact that it will throw off the other team. Is it worth it? Is it worth that minor throw off? Probably not, depending how you play it, but I guess obviously right here Viper are extremely confident in their bathroom tellers play, so I think that's why they're doing it, because not only are they confident in it, but they know it's definitely going to throw this Prime team off.
However, J90 is not going to be wasting any time in opening that up, and I think to actually attacking the site is getting all of that archives open, because that's the problem with building there, is it's so open and there's so little room to actually navigate safely around it that makes it very hard for defenders to play in there. And that's kind of what this strategy is driving on, because if they get into the B site right there, they can plant it pretty easily. There's not much that they can do to stop it because of all the angles and how they hold it. So Seven and Ollie are going to really have their work cut out for them. Ollie watching down from the hatch below, 2 minutes into it right now. And it looks like Prime is definitely having a more coordinated attack than I actually expected. So good on their part. There is a reason they are so high in the standings. As Darkside makes his way over to the AC event, and Shadow joins his fellow teammate in
Yeah, so definitely top control is a priority, but Beam is able to get the first kill there as Naz goes down trying to get rid of those roamers. And it's going to be the Smoke getting a huge frag onto the Yin, but he's going to be refragged there, but also immediately refragged by Seven, but J90 comes right back at it as just an aggressive play there by Seven, and it's just back to back to back as J90 gets another refrag, and it's somehow a 2v2, make it a 2v1, and it's going to be all up to the Maestro, who is down on site. Now that was extremely quick.
Exactly, just blue orange over and over, and Hoppy right down. As Prime will be taking round number 1 with a nice little 2-piece coming out from the 3-speed Warrior. Great knowledge of that angle, great play coming up from them, and that definitely could have gone worse. So
yeah,
really good start for them, and we can see that maybe Bathroom Tellers wasn't the greatest idea. And I think really the problem with that site is you have to hold the archives office area, and that is so difficult to do in that situation when you have the thermite opening the walls, you have all these people on the windows, all these different angles, and overall it was a really good idea, but I think that it cost them, and you can see that they're not going to try that again.
Yeah,
they're going to go for the try and true method, and it looks like we might be getting a rehost here as one of their players on Prime is going to accidentally drop out.
and just like that, we are going to be getting the rehost, so we're going to be going back into the countdown screen here. It should not take too long. Obviously, though, you guys know my history with rehosts. I struggle quite significantly with them, but we are going to try to get this done as soon as possible, and we'll get right back into the game as soon as possible. So be right back.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and back into the border matchup. Obviously, it wasn't too big of a rehost as only one round was missed, but everything should be good to go on to round 2. And Naz should have his computer all fixed. It looks like it just had a crash. And just to mention before we get into everything, the reason why we've had a little bit of a choppy gameplay is there's been a lot of latency issues with Siege custom games lately. I think there was an update they tried to push out in the test servers that has kind of... Oh, I knew I messed something up. But...
Wow. I mean, to be fair, you did say you struggled with rehost, so I mean, can we really blame you?
I'm just gonna ask them if they just don't want to play them. Actually...
It was Glaz, BB, Mira, and Echo.
Yeah. Let's just not, because I don't want to do a rehost again, because I'm probably going to mess it up. But... yeah, so we're good. That's good to see that the players have a good enough memory.
We'll say that didn't happen.
Yeah, let's just act like it's a glitch on that they're there. It's just the viewers can't see it. But you guys can see it. Yeah, exactly. Come on now. Obviously, you guys can see it at the top there. Those are the bans. We just won't have it displayed on the screen. Sorry about that. I told you I struggle with rehosts quite significantly.
You guys gotta keep in mind, he's observing, he's casting, he's streaming, he's doing all this stuff. He gets a little bit of a free pass. I'm just sitting here watching him on Discord, enjoying the exhilarating gameplay that we're seeing here, just like that first round prime. Definitely a strong start, and we can really see that it might have shook up Viper a little bit due to the fact that they're now on the more tried and true Armory Iron Archives, which almost every single Pro League team, Challenger League team, Semi-Pro team, Ranked team are going to be going first as their main site.
Yeah, as again, guys, I apologize for the latency issues, but going back onto this, I guess a lot more typical site here is, I think, a show to maybe Prime to say, okay, we're not going to treat these guys like they're just nothing. We're actually kind of scared now, and I think that's kind of what this Viper side is showing just a little bit, because they showed their confidence, obviously going to that bathroom tellers, but I think they've showed just a little bit of a lack of confidence now, and they aren't going to be kind of taking this Prime team for granted anymore, as I think that's really why we're seeing them going to a typical site.
Yeah, exactly right now, but they are being a little bit aggressive in terms of actually getting into the building itself. We can see Darkside throwing in one of his EMP grenades to knock out a couple of those shock wires, and it seems like the Jaeger is already taking about 50% health off of his pool already. Geo is the roamer right now, and he is in a good position if they try to come that way to at least stop or delay it. Indeed, you know, they were making fun of them earlier in the beam leave thing, as Seven making his way into CCTV. Will he be able to catch somebody out? And just misses him as he tries to get to a gunfight and wins it. What a great shot from Seven, as Gentile finds a kill for himself, and J90 will pick up Geo, ending his life in the break room area. Really nice shot from Seven, but it cost him and his team to actually go for that. Minute 30 seconds left. Viper getting back into sight right now. Will they be able to successfully defend this?
Obviously, we are going to be seeing that pickup there coming out from outside. I think there's actually the reset onto Shadow. So putting him back up to 50 health, which is a lot easier than I think he was around 25. But Shadow able to get the kill onto Ollie, making it a 4v2 situation now, all up to the Bandit and the Smoke. This is a very good clutch duo, as you can stop the entry denial, but it looks like J90 was going to push him right onto the Bandit, and oh my goodness. J90 continues his dominance from last week. Somebody needs to put a watchful eye on him, because he continues to frag out in games. Last week, I think it was a total of 24 frags in 2 maps. So
J90 is the ultimate 3-speed warrior, as we see. There just rushes inside, doesn't hit the brakes, just 1 frag, 2 frag, 3 frags.
Yeah, he's been doing this for quite a while, and now putting Viper at a disadvantage of 2-0. Definitely, I think, shaking the Viper side up just a little bit, and Seven just deciding to go with the Echo and realizing that it is banned. He's going to have to use that 6th pick. I know Seven's kind of a memey person, so he might have just done that on purpose, but could have been, as I think he did do that on purpose, as we saw him 6th pick back to the Echo. But, he is going to be nonetheless going to that dock, and what we're seeing here is Prime obviously had a lot to prove coming into this game, and they're definitely proving it already, as they've shut down Viper quite significantly the first 2 rounds, and Viper, if they haven't already gotten a wake-up call, that last round was for sure one.
And you have to keep in mind also, you know, even though they had a lot of wins as forfeits, they don't really have a choice in that matter. They're not able to be like, no, you're not going to forfeit. You're going to be strapped to your computer and you're going to play this out. So
Exactly.
that doesn't mean that they're a bad team because they had a couple of quote-unquote easy wins. And like you said earlier, they still beat Relentless, and Relentless is a very relentless team.
Yeah.
Sorry for the pun there. I know a couple of drones are probably coming into the chat right now. But that just shows how good they are, where not only are they getting the easy wins, but they're beating out the tough cookies as well.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And I could not agree more with that. But we are going to be seeing just a slightly different hold here from this Viper side. Obviously having a little bit more of a presence into this office area, as last time Seven, I think, invested his Maestro camp into the Fountain instead of the office. So a little bit of a slightly different hold, trying to get as much intel as possible to stop that office push. But it seems as if Prime aren't really winning off of certain pushes, but they're just winning their gunfights at this point. As we saw J90 pick up 3 frags last round, solely due to the fact he just out-aimed the entire Viper side.
Yep. And also like how he switched to IQ, because I really think that Ashe, you know, she's obviously a great fragger, but that's really all she is going to be able to do. She doesn't have a whole lot of utility. However, with the IQ, not only can he get kills, but he can also do things and play the objective for his team. As Shadow is able to pull off the Texan Dynamite, that's going to open up the wall, and is going to put the Jaeger in a very dangerous situation. A couple of shots are going to be coming out from Hoppy, and his fellow teammates going to be peeking outside wide. Hoppy doing it at the worst amount of time. That is going to get punished. Shadow finding the shot, and by the second one, that's a clip for him. Candela's going to get eaten up by the 80s, but the other one's going to go through, and will he be able to get the plants off? Yes, is going to be kind of stuck in that corner right now. Toxic is going to go down, but it's not going to stop him, even though he backs up. Great shot from Bean. Bean leave. That is going to be stopping this assault for just a few more seconds. Minute 25 left on.
As we do see just time slowly ticking down, but with already so much site control, this defense is in a point where they're just backed up against the wall, as Prime gets a kill onto Seven, making it a 4v2 now. And just everything in favor of Prime, as they as well are going to get that plant down, take down the smoke. It's going to be all up to the Valkyrie. Plant is down, a retake is going to have to happen, and it is a 1v3 situation as J90 is down. But this is definitely extremely, extremely difficult.
This is very intense right now. Gentao doesn't know where Geo is, but Geo has the perfect angle to watch him, although he is running out of time. Going to be looking out at the CCTV area. Actually, here's Gentao moving, and they both try to peek each other missing. What is going on here? Gentao, though, is going to be able to clean up, just barely getting away with that. A bit of an issue here, as we can see in the replay. Like, just the absolute potato. But hey, like we were saying earlier, it doesn't matter how close you are to losing it. He still won. He still got the 2K right there, and he still finished off the round relatively strongly.
I think right now, just looking at the way Viper is playing, the sirens are already going off. They're kind of pulling the alarm, and they're saying, wait, what's happening? This is not supposed to be happening. What is going on? Similar to the office scene when the office starts on fire. And I think that's kind of what is happening with this Viper side, as they're struggling right now. And they weren't expecting to come in this game to struggle, as again, Prime is one of those teams that have hidden in behind the curtain and are actually an extremely, extremely strong team. So 3 rounds up now, almost 1 round away from already securing the half, as it's looking really, really good for this Prime side. And what Viper needs to do now, and I'm glad I'm seeing them change the, actually, no, my fault. They aren't going to be changing the site. They are going to be staying upstairs. I really don't know if I agree with that. They've lost it 2 times in a row quite convincingly, and they don't want to get stubborn right now. They need to kind of open the doors up to a different site.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, and it looks like they are making a couple of changes, grabbing a Vigil, so that will give them a little bit more of a roaming potential and actual control of the site, because we actually really just saw there that Prime has been able to get inside on all 3 rounds without really any, contending against the stoppage. I mean, on the first round, they were able to get in onto the east stairs, very, very quickly into that and get onto that balcony and take control of the office area on the second round. They were able to open the walls in the CCTV. So having Geo onto this very powerful roamer, it might help kind of counteract that issue that they're running into. And that is a smart move by Viper. You know, they definitely want to adapt and learn from their mistakes. And I think the good thing is that they're actually doing that right now.
Yes, and that is something that you can say time and time again with Siege. The team that adapts the best is most likely going to win. And it's good to see Viper figuring out exactly why they're losing, figuring out exactly what's going wrong, and then addressing it. As we are going to be seeing Geo in this deep roam position, in this kind of security room, as well as the option to drop down, gives him so many just ideas and kind of combinations of things to do, as Hoppy Poppy is able to get the first kill onto J90. That's a huge kill, not based on utility as it was an Ash, but that's just a huge kill because it's J90, and he has been absolutely insane today.
Now we'll have to see if Prime is able to do anything without J90. I think they will be. I don't think that they were really relying on him too much, but that's definitely an F in the chat for J90. As we can see, that kill cam might have been a little bit of a tricky thing, but Seven, a great angle launch. I'm not sure exactly who that is, although he's going to be on the losing side of that. Dropping down to 25 health, definitely coming out in the loss through that exchange, as Naz tries to spray through the wall, not able to find him, and Shadow prepares to put down the Texan Dynamite. And that's going to be the exothermic charge going down on the wall. Meanwhile, the Lifeline will be providing support for him right now, and it looks like they will be able to open that up. Minute 35 seconds left right now, and Geo, I think that he has to start to do something in order to get this down, because they're already having toxic fade. They weren't able to solve it with the Maestro. Overall, they are just still allowing them to get too much control. Geo hanging out in the bridge room, but the problem with that is there is somebody watching that right now. This can fall apart for him really quickly as Darkside is watching the back angle. Very smart plays coming out from Prime.
We're going to see Geo actually rotate to the backside of site when the push is coming from offices. I don't necessarily know if that was a smart move. Obviously, he doesn't want to give up his life in that long hallway, but this push is completely uncontested right now. Shadow is sitting in sight and can get the plant down, and nobody's going to know. Obviously, Shadow doesn't know this right now. Actually, he does, as a plant is coming down, and nobody's doing anything about it. Finally, Seven making the flank, but Bean is going to get caught out, and so is Geo, and it's a 4v2 just like that. And again, it's going to be all up to the Jaeger and the Maestro, but Seven and Ollie getting two huge frags, making it a 2v2, but a retake is going to have to come out from these defenders as time is not in their favor. And oof. Darkside able to get a kill onto Seven as he was caught in that rotate. It's going to be all up to the Maestro. He has a lot of bullets in that gun, but is it going to be enough to clutch it out? That is going to be the question. Only time can tell. He is also running out of time as that diffuser is hitting a point where it could potentially not be undifused anymore. As Zofia is actually going to lifeline him.
Oh no!
And oh my goodness! That is unfortunate way to go out, as the Claymore from that Zofia actually getting the frag on the Maestro. A little bit of a bait there, kind of, but in the end, Prime, they've looked unstoppable right now. There was a moment there where Viper, they had the man advantage, they had site control, and then 2 seconds go by, walls open, everything's going down, sirens are blaring, and there's a plant down. So right now, Prime, their execution has been perfect.
I also have to say that Jintao is probably the luckiest person I've ever seen in my entire life. Not only in the third round were they able, or I'm sorry, the fourth round was he able to survive when Valkyrie had a huge shot on him after he completely potatoed and missed his shot. But right there, not only did he completely miss his shot, but he didn't take a single point of damage, and that Claymore was able to clean up the kill for him. So, I mean, I don't know if God's watching him or what's going on there, but I definitely have to think that his luck is helping out with Prime in this 4-0 lead over Viper.
And
keep in mind, Viper is not a bad team in any way, shape, or form. They took second place in the contender finals. That's a very strong standing right there. And along with that, they are in, I believe, third place, if I'm correct.
Yes, third place.
Yes. Third place out of 16 teams. That's a pretty hard feat to do, but just the fact is, Prime is playing them like a fiddle, and I really think it has to do with such standard defenses. I mean, there's really hasn't been anything new on Border, with the exception of Maestro's TAM being placed into office and archives and helping out in that regard. Pretty much on Border since its
10
inception.
seconds left.
Yeah, and something that's a little, quite a lot different from this game from the last game is, last game both teams were flirting with the lead. It was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Whereas this, there's complete dominance in favor of Prime, and the one problem with Border, and that you kind of don't see it on Consulate, is unfortunately we are going to get that spectator glitch and not able to see that kill. Seven is able to get one, but Naz is able to get the refrag quickly. But what I was saying was, with it being Border and not Consulate, it's really hard to kind of flip an entire game back in your favor. Whereas Consulate, it's a lot easier to kind of get things back on track because it's a lot more attacker-sided. It's a lot harder to do that in Border because it's a lot more of a 50-50 game.
And the problem with Border is every single aspect of the map is always going to be utilized no matter what side it is. Whereas Consulate, if you're on the basement, you're really not going to be going in
Upstairs.
from the second floor of that area. Whereas Border doesn't matter. But oh, a great shot from Hobby. I have no idea how that wasn't a headshot. He does quite a bit of damage though. Will he actually run that? He really wants this. Is he going to do it? That would not be the smartest idea. Darkside does have a compadre to help him out, but so does Hoppy. Now it's Ollie creates a tiny little hill for him to work with, and they get rid of those bandit targets. EMP grenade going down right now. This is a very flirtatious match right now, and J90 will be able to find somebody. Hoppy is going to fall, and the reset's going to come down. Geo playing on the first floor down below, trying to figure out if they're going to be up there right now. And Bean, he is going to Bean leave in his aim as J90, the 3-speed warrior, will get eliminated from this round, and that's going to turn us into an equal 3v3.
As we do see complete top control has been gifted to this attacking side, and they have the resources to make an effective push, and we've seen how good the execute has been from Prime, so I think Viper are in a position that is not very ideal for them, as Prime looks like they are setting up for this execute. They are recognizing the fact nobody is in B, and there actually is no line of sight onto B if he plants behind that bookshelf. So with top control and with B control, the plant most likely could come down, and you still have a minute left. Prime have cleared out the roamers upstairs. They have gotten everything they needed, and they've done that in a very efficient amount of time.
And Darkside trying to spray through the floorboards isn't able to connect any of those shots, but Shadow is in a very bad position, but he has to get that plant down. 40 seconds left. His teammate is going to fall, but actually no, Naz is going to find Ollie, and Bean will grab one for himself right now, stopping the diffuser, and a second one for him. Will he be able to get the third? No, he's not going to have enough ammo to do so, and what a great clutch. Darkside getting the last 2 kills he needs, and Prime is going to continue their flawless victory with a nice little 2-piece at the end there. So close for Viper to get on the scoreboard, and just not enough.
Good lord, that was the closest that Viper has come to winning it out, but Darkside with the aim to close it, as just everything was going good for Prime, and then it quickly flipped in favor of Viper. They got 2 huge frags, making it 2v1 with about, what, 7 seconds left? And then Darkside said, okay, let me just finish this off, and said, I am not going to let this not be flawless, and then just gets the frags. The one problem with that, though, is the Viper side needs to recognize Darkside didn't have control of the diffuser. The diffuser was in bomb B. He drops bomb A. If they just hide and wait out the time, they're going to force him into either a plant situation where he can't stick it, or where he's going to have to stick it and die, or they just force him into a position where he has to frag out. And he did frag out, but the smarter thing they should have done was just hide. You don't need to contest that angle.
This isn't TDM. You don't need to kill everyone. It's SND. Your goal is to put down the diffuser and disable the bomb.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many kills you get. If they're able to get the diffuser down in time, it's all over for that round. So I think that's kind of a problem with a lot of amateur teams, is that they don't realize that. They don't get into their head that they don't need to get the kills. The frags do not matter at the end of the day. What matters is you win the round. So definitely, you know, what you're saying, it would have been smarter to say like that. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do so. They got a little too cocky, let Darkside basically just get a nice little 2-piece, get himself a clip, and he definitely earned that, but it's not a situation that Viper should have put themselves in, especially when the score was 4-0, and they don't want to extend that lead any more than it already is.
Why?
And just like that, you know, Gentile, again, luckiest guy in the world, gets an easy kill. And not only that, that's the dog too, not even the rook. So they don't have any stimulating shots in order to retrieve missing health. Very big mistake.
Yeah, and right now I think Viper are really just kind of everything is going wrong for them right now. They are going into angles they shouldn't go into. They're not playing with their heads. It's kind of an all-aim, no-brain style of play, and that's not going to work in competitive play. And this game, since they are so far behind, it's gotten in their heads already, and I don't know if they have what it takes to bring it back. And with 7 going for that peak, I think that proves my point even more, because this just seems as if they're trying to flip this and try to get as much confidence from as many little things as possible, and in the end, they're just throwing the game away.
Now keep in mind, this is on the defensive side. Ooh, J90 getting a great kill on his Geo. But keep in mind, Viper, they definitely have a chance to get back into this, but definitely not on the defensive side. Bean is able to find somebody, but not before one of his teammates gets down. And Ollie, a great kill, finally holding on this angle and getting it closer to a 2v2 to even it up right now. Minute 40 seconds left though. Ollie and Viper, last members. I'm sorry, Ollie and Bean are the last members alive for Viper. What are they going to do here? Another great shot is going to come out from Ollie, but he's not able to secure that final kill on Tanaz before he dies. Instead, he's going to force Bean into a clutch situation. That SMG-11 hasn't been very good since its nerf. Definitely not a long-range weapon. Not the situation that he wants to be in right now. Still, Bean has definitely done a lot better things in a lot worse situations. So we'll see if he's able to clutch it out here.
Obviously, as well as the fact that it only has 13 bullets. It's super hard to get not only 1, but 2 kills with it, as I'm going to see the reload come up, but it looks like potentially, I actually thought I heard the plant, but wow, that's an unfortunate timing to throw the smoke. How are you not finishing that kill? But Darkside, in the end, still finishes it. It took a little bit longer than I think he wanted it to, as I don't know what he was aiming at, but he is going to get the kill. Yep, and he is going to get the kill nonetheless, and on to match point, as he says he was blind. But I think he's blind. He's definitely
getting away with this. Darkside, Gentile, like Viper should be punishing this. Like, I think that's their problem, is they're not really capitalizing when they set themselves into a good situation. They're not playing the objective like they need to do. And I definitely think that it has to do with being on the defensive side, because the fact is, Border is, there's not much you can do with it on the defensive side. You're going to be doing the same things every time. That's just how
it's not fluid at all. It's a static map,
So it's one of the few maps that's more fluid on the attacking side than on the defending side.
Absolutely.
So I think that we might see a shift here, but it's going to be very hard for Viper to win 6 rounds in a row to get this going into overtime.
Yeah, and another thing is, like, it's kind of reminds me of Oregon, where you're going to be kind of seeing the same round over and over and over again based on the defense, where that's based on defense for Border, but on Oregon it's more of the same round over and over and over again for the attacking side. And I think that's why Border and Oregon are picked so often, is because they're super linear. They're a lot easier to play when you have a coordinated team, and that's why they're picked a lot during comp play. Whereas Consulate and Villa and maybe Bank, maps like that, they're a lot more mechanically favored, and they also open up the doors for a lot less strats. And that's why I kind of feel we saw Hyper and Ego go to Consulate, because they might not have as many strats as they want, and they're saying, okay, if we don't have the strats, let's just try to get the kills. Whereas Prime and Viper, they have the strats and they want to capitalize on that. It's just Viper right now, they aren't executing anything properly. Whereas Prime, it's been perfect for them. Every execute, every way to clear the roamers, every way to get map control has been exactly how they wanted it to go. They have luck on their side, and they also have knowledge on their side. They've been winning their gunfights. Everything is on their side right now. And 6-0 down with the other team just completely on a roll, that's a lot to ask from this Viper side.
Yeah, good thing about this halftime, though, it's definitely an opportunity for them to get back in this game. Like, they're going to, they can say to themselves, okay, bad defensive half, let's get on the attack, let's get back into it. So I definitely wouldn't count them out just yet right now, as they are going to be joining themselves around, trying to figure out where there is some information for themselves. They know a Jaeger is going to be inside the office area, but this is where they can turn things around. Dean and Seven both playing outside. And I like how they're being a little bit more careful with their push than what we saw Prime was doing, where they were being aggressive. They were just jumping in there, no problem, and hoping to God their aim was enough, which it was, but nevertheless, it was still a risky move. Whereas Viper, they're playing it a little smarter. They're droning it out, they're holding angles, they're playing it safe, and it's gonna pay off for them. Ollie getting an early kill onto, I believe that is...
Ooh, what a nice peek there. Unfortunately, somehow, the Thermite is only brought down to about 75 HP.
Wow.
But I think the reason maybe why we're seeing Viper play a lot slower is because they're also a little nervous. They know this is match point and this is kind of do or die, and they are making every moment count. But Gentao, Gen, whatever, how he wants us to say it, is able to get the kill onto Hoppy Poppy. That's going to be your IQ off of the board. Not a lot of utility considering the operators picked for the defenders, but that is definitely a good gun right off the board pretty early on, and it's a nice refrag.
Yeah, and I really don't think anybody was expecting it to be like this right now. I mean, maybe on the E or on Hyper game, they thought, okay, one of them would pull this far away, but I was really expecting this to be a lot closer together with both Viper and Prime. And you know, the kind of the sad thing is for Viper is this is best of one, so it's not even like they can come back on one of their better maps in the future. That's just going to be how it is right now. Ollie is inside that fountain area. Oh, what a big mistake from him. He is going to completely whiff his shot. Didn't actually see J90. The refrag is going to come up, but the damage is done, and Bean is barely holding on. 25 HP, one little quarter bar, and a smoke bomb is going to get thrown out, but there is 38 seconds left. Gentao is playing down below. This is certainly on the defensive side's favor. Darkside has plenty to work with in terms of utility. 2 remote gas rings. Devin trying to make his way inside right now as the exclamation charge is going to go up, and I thought Bean was going to die there from a friendly fire incident. No, he's actually going to be able to plant the diffuser relatively safely. That's quite surprising, but that's exactly what they needed, as Viper is going to retreat back just a little bit to watch it. Now they just have to play safe, but as I say that, Shadow is going to find a kill onto Bean.
Just like that, somehow the smoke was not able to deny the plant, but the numbers advantage has quickly gone in favor of Prime. And could this be a 7-0? And it is. The defuse is going to be coming out. GG's already. A 30-minute match. Wow, was that unfortunate. Not at all what anybody expected, as you see everybody leaving on that Viper side. That's tough. That is a very tough loss.
Exactly, yeah.
And you can see it. This is not how Viper wanted this to end. They came into this extremely confident. They had the community on their side entirely. Everybody was on their side. The vote was in their favor. And then Prime just came in and said, I'm so sick and tired of people underestimating us. Can we just smoke these kids? And that's exactly what they did. 7-0. And it's always so unfortunate to see a blowout like this, but Prime really deserved it. They played out of their minds.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that anybody is going to be giving them flack anymore for, you know, having a bunch of forfeits, because they really proved that no matter what, they were probably going to win those games, even if they were played out. What a fantastic job coming out from Prime, really showing that they also knew this map in and out. They knew how to play it on the defense and the attack, and they didn't give Viper an inch in those gun battles.
There was nothing given to Viper at all, and that's just it shows how dominant Prime is. And really, if Prime is not on your list for teams to watch out for, you better write them down right now. Go get a pen, go get a piece of paper, and get that on your list as soon as possible. Obviously, you probably don't have a list of that. But that's going to be it from us today based on the game. But we are going to be having the post-game interview with Prime Esports, and we will be right back to that as soon as possible. So stay tuned, and we can see exactly what was going through the mind of these Prime players as they just got an extremely dominant win.
From town to town, from London to Taiwan, I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight, we will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Night. to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and on to the post-game interview. And if you guys were questioning exactly why the Ego game didn't get a post-game interview, is most of the time with the best of ones and how we want to just kind of dish out as many games as possible for you guys, we don't want to let the other team wait. And so that's why we kind of just wanted to get everybody in the game as soon as possible. And that's why we didn't do the post-game interview with Ego. And if you guys were questioning that, that's why that exactly happened. Obviously, if you guys are kind of looking for the 2 post-game interviews and you want us to change that, just let us know, and we can, instead of focusing on getting the game to you as soon as possible, we can try to talk with the players as much as possible. So just let us know. Obviously, message me on Discord, or message me on Twitter. DMs are always open, but I'm going to be hopping into... Oh, that's kind of spit there. But we are going to be hopping into the interview channel here with the Prime side to see exactly what was going through their head in that extremely dominant victory. Hello?
Yep.
Oh, hey Red, could you drag Gento in?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
in casual.
Yeah, 1 second here.
Thanks.
There you go. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to get right into it here. So the very first question I have is, I think coming into this game, you guys still had a lot of doubters saying how you guys have gotten so many forfeit wins, they shouldn't be at the top of the leaderboard, like this isn't, they aren't really a top tier team. You had a lot of doubters saying that. Going into this game, was this kind of a statement to try to prove them wrong, or did you guys just treat it like any other game?
I don't know. We kind of just play every game like it's any other game, but I think recently we've been like stepping up our practice and stuff and cleaning up small mistakes. So I think that's why it was really clean. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
But the next question I have is, obviously, I think a lot of people didn't really expect this to be completely dominant when you guys won 7-0. This is one of the only, I think there's been 2 flawless victories, and you guys have one of them. Did you expect it to be flawless, or were you expecting Viper to maybe put up a little bit more of a fight?
Nah, we were expecting like a
We were
really
expecting
like
a fight.
down to the end
Yeah.
battle. We were expecting that.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a close one, but just played and built off our momentum and just went with it.
All right. That's technically all my questions, but I actually want to say one more. What do you think went right for you guys? Why do you think you had such a dominant performance today?
I think we played like a ton of Borders games, so
Yeah. Yeah, we scrimmed like border like 5 times at least in the past week.
yeah, because every team wants to play Border anyway, so it's like
just coincidentally, and then we got it. So
we got Borders, so
we got a lot of
in our
practice in
favor.
it.
All right, you guys kind of won it out on the map ban phase very early. Kind of continued that win
Yeah.
through the entire game. But those are all my questions. But Demonic, do you have any?
Unfortunately, I do not. I think you were able to cover it.
All right, thanks so much, guys. Really just absolutely dominant performance. And I think if anybody was doubting you guys coming into this match, you have definitely proved all of them wrong and are definitely a top tier team that kind of have to keep their eyes on. So thanks so much for sticking around. It's going to be it for today.
all right, thanks, man.
Thanks. Yeah. See you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it from us today. Obviously, Prime with such a dominant performance. It was something I don't think anybody expected, as literally the vote was in favor of Viper, as well as the fact most of the games this year have been super, super close. So the fact that not only did the quote-unquote underdog win, even though they are higher up on the leaderboard, not only did they win, but they won in such a fashion that we're not used to. But it is a win nonetheless. Such a dominant performance. But really, coming out of that game, do you have any closing remarks, Demonic?
I definitely didn't expect it to be 7-0. I mean, in fact, I thought that Prime was actually going to struggle a bit because I really only had information on Viper. They're the only team that I have directly observed in quite a while, and I thought they were pretty solid on the maps that I saw. They did lose on Border in their last best of 5 match on the Contenders final, but that was just an absolute stomp. And I think that Viper's definitely going to have to work on their coordination. They're going to have to probably change things up. And I think that it might shake them a little bit. We're going to have to see how they do in future matches and see how this affected them, because some of these teams are so volatile that this could cause some serious rifts in the players. I don't think that's going to be the case with Viper. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Yeah, again, we did see all of them leave quite immediately, and you can definitely sense some anger with that, because going into a game expecting a close matchup and then getting thrashed is nothing you want to experience.
Nope.
As Viper definitely have